About Aaron Rodgers becoming a Steeler.
I would say it was a good sign that he wanted to do that, and I mean, we keep hearing that he's I guess headed in our direction, and so that seems to be, all signs are positive so far. I'd say we feel pretty good about it.
Are you content to wait?
Well, not forever, but a little while longer.
That's like the face of an impatient man, rightfully so, who's trying to keep it together. But Jeremy, what can you tell us about where things stand with Rodgers and the Steelers?
Yeah, so Laura, I just checked in with people in Pittsburgh, so they remain optimistic. Nothing has changed from a status standpoint. They continue to wait on Aaron Rodgers and could wait a little while longer, as Art Bruni said. But they still feel good. There's a feeling for people in the quarterback market that Pittsburgh must have gotten some sort of loose assurance at some point that Rodgers is going to go there. Now, there's some sort of working theories around there, some speculation that is he waiting on the Vikings? That's sort of a question out there. But talking to people in Minnesota, they feel like the Rodgers situation is all but dead, unless like it's late summer and he just happens to be available. But right now they're moving on with J.J. McCarthy. So he's got two options, the Steelers or retirement. Pittsburgh believes that based on their meetings and everything that's gone well, contract parameters, talks in their building with Rodgers, that they're well positioned and this should shake out. But it's his first foray into free agency. Anything is possible.
Yeah, I think it's a done deal. I think he's going to play for the Steelers, and I think there's been that loose assurance. I would be absolutely floored if an organization like the Steelers that has been well run or as well run as anybody in the history of the NFL is just mid-April flying by the seat of their pants when it comes to the quarterback position. And then at pick 21, they're going to cross their fingers and hope that a young player that's going to be unbelievable falls into their laps. That's not how they operate. That's not how they work. I know that they've been looking for the replacement of Big Ben since he left. They have to know that Aaron has told them, hey, I'm not ready yet, but I'm going to be ready, and I'll be your quarterback for the foreseeable future.
So I think one of the interesting things here is that at that pick at 20, they have a chance to get a quarterback, could be a really good one still there. If you know that you're getting Rodgers, have you said to Rodgers, we're not going to draft a rookie? Have you said we will?
No, I don't think you say that. I think we're past that point with Aaron.
And you just do it if you have a chance to get one.
I think you're very clear with Aaron. Like, hey, you're going to be the starting quarterback, but if this kid is there and we want him, we're going to take him. And we're going to sit him and let him learn the way you did and whatnot. But I don't think you sit there and go, Aaron, you come play and we promise you we won't take a quarterback, because you do have to plan.
Yeah, and what I was told with Pittsburgh's mentality is we know we have to invest in a quarterback in the draft at some point in the next, say, 2 years. It doesn't have to be this year.
Yeah.
Next year's quarterback class is considered stronger. The last time they dipped into what was considered a weaker quarterback class, the Kenny Pickett selection,
but they waited for it, you know. Like, I don't think the kids that, or the young men that are going to be good pros are going to be there at pick 21.
Yeah, interesting. Would they go up?
They would, if this is a we don't know and Aaron hasn't made a decision by then, they would have no choice but to go up.
We're going to break, but you think Aaron Rodgers makes a decision before the draft?
I do.
I think you got to tell them that if you're the Steelers. You got to. We have to know. Like, we have to know 100% on paper. No.
I think we have to go to break, but it's just so interesting. Like,
there's no way you could move forward.
Breaking in 2 new coordinators this season.
Continuity is always good because, you know, every year you kind of learn what each other wants and how they work, how they function, and then you can move without saying a word. We'll be fine. We'll be fine, man. John Morton, man, stepping in, an offensive coordinator, somebody I know, I trust, I've been around. I mentioned this before. He was here when we built this thing back up in 22. And then Kelvin Shepard's been here, man. So it's not like it'll be starting from scratch with somebody that I don't know. It'll be kind of fresh and new, actually, and I think we're all excited to that.
Some familiarity still there, but Dan, do you expect the Lions offense to take a step back this season?
I do, because the loss of Ben Johnson, who's their ex-offensive coordinator, now head coach of the Chicago Bears, has got to be felt. He has been one of the most creative offensive coordinators and minds in the NFL over the last 3 or 4 seasons. And the step 5, 6, 7 of the things that he does to free things up in their offense is very rare. And he's one of one when it comes to doing stuff like that. It doesn't mean that they're going to go from one of the best to one of the worst, but I don't think they're going to week in and week out shock us with some of the creative things that they do both in their.
With the best last season. In his 3 games against ranked opponents, he threw 7 touchdowns to just 1 interception. 3 of those touchdowns came against Notre Dame, who allowed the 4th fewest points per game in the FBS. In those games, he had a 74 total QBR, completed 58% of his passes. Really good stuff. And we now welcome in Tyler Shough to join the show. So glad to have you, Tyler. Thank you for joining us. We spent a lot of time talking about you, and now we get to talk to you. Now, you've spent significant amount of time in college football. It's one of my favorite things about your game. Some may view that as an advantage. Others see it as a disadvantage. So how do you respond to those who are concerned about your age as a quarterback?
Well, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. First off, they're really excited to be with you guys. But I think for me, it's just kind of turning it on its head, and it's been a positive. I feel like I have all the physical characteristics, but I've kind of gone through all the mental side of it to where I've had to, go through lacks of confidence. I've had to go through, being a transfer, being injured, being cut, and all these things that happen in the NFL. And, I just love football so much and kind of just stayed strong and stayed true to it. And I feel like I'm only growing and getting better. So I'm just really excited to kind of continue this process and finish up these last visits and hopefully get some good news at the end of the month.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you will. And I know this can all be such a whirlwind with so many things going on, the interviews, the workouts, all of that. But let's talk about one moment in particular that sticks out to me. I was in the room when you ran.
I think it's an NFL combine. You only get one opportunity to do that. And I knew that was something I had in my toolbox was just I didn't think I was going to hit a 4.63 to say. And I just I got a little hyped up, got the crowd going. It's like.
It was real quiet before that. All right, so I've got Dan Orlovsky here with me. You're a lot faster than him, by the way. I'll just go ahead and tell you that.
Low bar.
Dan wanted you to look at some tape. So let's start with you, Dan, and tell us what you got for Tyler.
Yeah, so Tyler, Louis Riddick has talked about you a lot, and I hadn't seen a ton of your tape, so I started to watch it, and I texted him. I said, yeah, I get it. And so this is a play that stood out for me was, one, you start in the gun, you shift, then you motion, and you're underneath the center. You go hard play action, and then there's that 3-level concept of what I would call like a burner pylon and then a deep cross and a flat route. And I see on one hitch a ball get launched 40-plus yards down the field in perfect placement. And so I love that because I think it's transferable to the NFL. That's stuff, that concepts that get run in the NFL. About that play, start to finish, talk me through it.
Yeah, to your point, and I think that's something that I've been trying to convey is handling the run game, handling the protections, all this stuff, shifts, motions that you're going to be asked to do. But, we're reducing to weak slot right, X-mo, bolt 39 right, Z-bomb, X-over. So, we're reducing, we're trying to discourage pressure, get them in a base look. We're going to have bolt 39 right, so you're faking outside zone with 2 agents backside. Your Z-bomb is your pylon or big home run post to the opposite pylon. And then you got your deep over, deep cross. So trying to make the fake, get the opposite B gap. You're finding that middle safety and going off of him.
Okay, so first of all, I could do this for 7 hours. Is this something that was somewhat new to you this year, this type of getting under center, handling all that stuff, the play fake, the feet and how much it's attached to it? Is that new for you?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think in the past you're taking, you got your air raid, deep choice game, and you're taking 3-step drops and hoping the receiver gets open. And, now I'm being tasked with handling protections, handling the run game, taking 7-step drops, move in the pocket. And, I wasn't great at it at first, but I got a lot of it under my belt and I feel super comfortable with it. And I think it's become a strength. That's something I've worked on throughout this whole process.
That 90 seconds makes me immediately think of the Los Angeles Rams.
Oh, okay. We like it. Now, listen, the only person, Tyler, who smiles will be bigger than what Dan's just was as you were breaking down that tape is Louis Riddick, who is the president of your fan club. Louis, the floor is yours, my friend. Go ahead.
Tyler, what's up, my man? How you doing?
I'm doing good, Louis. I don't know why they give you so much crap, man. You just watched some ball. You just watched tape this year. It's crazy.
Hey, exactly. Look, man, I watched some tape. We did your games. I talked to Jeff and Brian down there at Louisville. I think that's where I want to go. Like, your development under Jeff and Brian Brom. Like, just speak about how they have helped you with some of the things maybe you weren't exposed to in the air raid when you were at Tech, and how that has kind of taken your game to the next level. Because I think their impact on you is immeasurable and what is going to catapult you to some great things at the next level.
No doubt. I do want to shout out Zach Kittley at Texas Tech for kind of building that foundation. And of controlling some of that stuff. But, we were only running split zone, GT counter, and power a little bit. But for me, it's trying to transcend it into something great with Coach Brom. And, they both play the position. The way they coach the position is really unique. It's how I would throw in this, or I maybe would have done this, or I don't think you could have gotten that ball in there. And what they asked from like I said before with Dan, with the protection standpoint, different formations and motions, you got to time up everything right perfectly. And how does that set you up to play on time? And like I said, I wasn't great at it. That was something that I was able to learn and grow from and continue to get better throughout the season. So for me, it's super just in debt to them and for believing in me throughout my kind of journey and just the craziness and understanding that, I had a lot more in the tank and had a really great year with them this past year.
Tyler.
A major news story has just emerged that could shake the NFL in the coming days. The Minnesota Vikings, one of the best teams from last season, are being mentioned as potential contenders in a massive trade that could bring New York Jets star Sauce Gardner to their defense. Today, I'll tell you everything you need to know about this potential trade that could revolutionize the league. Stick with us to get all the details on this surprising move in the NFL market. Before diving into the details of this potential trade, it's important to know that the Vikings are looking to improve their defense, especially in the secondary. Last season, although they had one of the best offenses, their defensive performance was inconsistent, which cost them dearly in the playoffs. Acquiring Sauce Gardner could be the key to plugging those gaps and taking the Vikings to an elite level in football. But before we talk more about this trade, it's crucial to understand the current situation of the Jets and the stance of their new general manager. The Jets, on the other hand, have doubts about their immediate future, particularly in key positions like quarterback and offensive line. This could lead Darren Moogie, the new general manager of the Jets, to consider rebuilding the roster with a focus on the NFL draft, rather than continuing to invest large sums of money in players like Sauce Gardner, whose contract could exceed $30 million annually. Although Gardner had a quieter season in 2024, he's still considered one of the best cornerbacks in the league, and his potential would be a huge addition for the Vikings, who could form one of the best defensive duos in the NFL alongside Byron Murphy Jr. Now, I want to know your opinion. Do you think the Minnesota Vikings should risk making such a big trade for Sauce Gardner? Or do you think the Jets should continue betting on their defensive star and look for other solutions to their problems in other positions? Leave your comment below. I'd love to hear your point of view on this potential trade that could change the course of both franchises. Now, let's talk about what's really getting everyone talking. This proposed trade between the Minnesota Vikings and the New York Jets could be one of the most impactful moves of the season. But would the Jets really be willing to let go of one of their most important defensive stars? I'll tell you everything next. Don't go away. The main news is that the Minnesota Vikings are reportedly interested in acquiring Sauce Gardner from the New York Jets in a massive trade that could change the dynamics of the NFL. Gardner, who was considered one of the best cornerbacks in his early seasons, could become a key piece to strengthen the Vikings' defense. Although his performance in 2024 didn't meet his previous level, he's still an elite player with great potential. The Jets, on the other hand, might be open to this trade due to their financial concerns and the need to rebuild other areas of the team. This move would have a deep impact on the NFL. If the Vikings secure Gardner, their secondary would become one of the best in the league, giving them a significant advantage in defending against high-powered offensive teams. Additionally, this could put even more pressure on the Jets, who would lose a key player on their defense, which would directly affect their competitiveness in the AFC. On the other hand, the Vikings would be showing a clear intent to fight for the title, making a strong bet on their defense to complement their powerful offense. Now I want to know what you think about this situation. Do you think the Minnesota Vikings are making the right decision by trying to sign Sauce Gardner, or do you think it should be another team that takes this defensive talent? What impact do you think this move would have on the Jets and the NFC in general? Leave your comments below, and let's keep talking about this topic. That's all for today on the surprising proposed trade between the Minnesota Vikings and the New York Jets. Stay tuned for all the NFL news, as moves like this could change the course of the season. We'll see you in the next video with more updates and exclusive analysis. Don't forget to subscribe and leave your like.